Welcome to the Women of Fort Mill, South Carolina. I'm Kelly, mom of 2 teenagers, serial entrepreneur, and lover of all things that inspire and empower women. After years of supporting women on their journeys, I'm thrilled to be here to spotlight the powerhouse women who make Fort Mill so special.
And I'm Leah, mom of a very busy toddler and your go-to financial guru for making sense of money and planning for the future. I absolutely love helping women feel confident in their finances. And together, Kelly and I are here to connect you with the stories, tips, and insights that can help you thrive personally and professionally.
Every week, we're inviting you to join us for a quick 20-minute chat with local female business owners, women who are really changing the game here in Fort Mill.
You'll walk away with new ideas, practical advice, and a deeper connection to the community. Whether you're seeking motivation, actionable tips to grow your business, or just a bit of solidarity and the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, you're in the right place.
This is the Women of Fort Mill, South Carolina. Let's dive in and meet the incredible women here in our community. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Women of Fort Mill podcast. This is Kelly Hoover, and I am joined with my amazing co-host, Leah Williams. Hello, Leah.
Hi, Kelly. It's always a pleasure being here with you.
Always a pleasure. And you guys, we have an announcement for you today. So we have heard you loud and clear, whether it has been coming to our Instagram and sharing your ideas and your thoughts about what you love about the podcast, and even maybe some tweets about your favorite episodes, specifically too, when we have been seeing you out at events and around town. We have been asking, what can we do? How can we show up better here at the Women of Fort Mill podcast? And you guys have come in loud and clear. And so we're doing a little bit of a change and a little bit of a shift up here at the Women of Fort Mill podcast. And we're excited about it. So please share with us your feedback after you start listening to these new episodes. We still are going to be featuring women in Fort Mill. So if you are a listener, you're a business owner, you have a nonprofit or something amazing to share, we still want you on this podcast. But one of the things that has come to our attention is you guys want to hear us, and you want to hear us talk, and you want to hear us talk about real life issues and about how raising toddlers and raising teenagers and how we handle juggling work and personal life and taking care of us and being a wife and being a mom and a friend and all of the many hats that you are wearing. And Leah and I are wearing too. So that is what we're going to kick off today. And I get the pleasure of kicking off today's episode, interviewing Leah. And I'm so excited about this though, Leah. I know that there's no nerves here because it's just 2 girlfriends talking, but are you ready to kick it off?
Let's go. Yeah, this will be so fun.
I know. And it's going to be so fun. You're going to just get to hear real and raw and unscripted things from Leah and I. Okay. So Leah, first off, if people don't know you, you're my girl that I come to with all the questions, the money, like you're so confident about the roles that money and savings and all different things have in. I know I've heard you speak so many times, and 90% of the things that you say are over my head, but I love when you break them down for me and just listening to you. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Like I want to ask you some things about women and money and confidence. But first, I know a lot of people don't know your story. So can you share a bit about like your personal journey with money and really like what has shaped your relationship from growing up and to now? Tell us a little bit about that.
I think this is a really important element to know because 10 years ago, you would be talking to a different Leah. In fact, I always tell people this is version like 17, 18, 19 of me the last 10 years in really every area of my life, but money being one of the big things. And we all have a different experience growing up. We all have different parents. And I believe that even if you have the same, say 5 children in a family, each of them have a different childhood experience because they all perceive things differently from their parents. So what we all learn growing up about money really shapes what we do as adults. And unless we look at it, decide whether it's correct, whether we've had a good or negative relationship with money, and then change it, determines so much of how our future looks. So for me, that meant I had to make serious changes. So rewind 10 years ago, I'm going through a divorce, dealing with being emotionally like really broken down on every level as a person and as a woman, and finding myself so insecure, really in every area. And knowing that unless I made drastic life changes and put my all into everything, I was going to be like a lot of other people that I had seen where one really bad thing happened in their life and negativity just followed them and they never met their potential because they never made drastic changes. So I thought, that's not going to be me. So that is what created the fire in me that I say obsessed. Now it's a healthy obsession, but that forced me to learn the things that I know. And of course, that learning evolved as I became a business owner, then started working with other people, those areas of specialty and learning taxes and things like that to compound the basic foundations. But I think that every woman needs to know it does not matter where you come from, whether you came from a lot of money, no money, but what does matter is your relationship with money. Because no matter how much is coming your way, if you feel like you are always in lack, it's always leaving you. There's never enough. It will do exactly that. I will tell you without a doubt, that relationship is the core of everything. So for me, it has been years of working on that, working on myself, changing the dynamic with money that was once money is for selfish people. People that have a lot of it probably aren't good. Changing that into, yes, we work hard, we do the right thing, but we are abundant. And in order to help others, we have to have lots of money flowing, and joy is important. And sometimes money helps do things that give you joy. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So let's dig into that a little bit more. Talking about like making those changes and talking about like your relationship with money and your mindset shifts. Will you kind of dive into what were some of the biggest ones that you had, the mindset shifts that you had to make around like money and to feel confident, especially like as a woman, as a mom and an entrepreneur?
One of the biggest challenges for me my whole life has been feeling worthy. So when you don't feel worthy of things, you don't feel worthy of money, of good things in your life. When things come through that lens, it's impossible to make the progress and reach the potential that you have, not only in work and building assets, if that's the filter that you're running it through. I am now a huge believer in not only thoughts, but what's deep inside us, either attracting or repelling things in life. And nothing will repel money faster than believing that you're not worthy of it or worthy of having more. The work on the other areas of my life to become a whole person instead of a broken person had this big positive impact on my relationship with money, because it helped me transform how I saw myself as a person, as a woman. And then of course, now that I have a child, an almost 3-year-old, I realize the impact of how I see myself, treat myself even more, because I'm teaching him how he should treat himself, the relationships that he should have with all these things, including money. So I think, 3 years ago, this healthy pressure to step it up and become an even better version and improve my relationships with all things stemmed from, being a mom. That made me be better. Even from a year ago, I'm different in how I see things. So a lot of it was just the self-improvement that I did on myself, changing how much I valued myself, how worthy I was, focusing on my skills, what gifts I can bring to the world. And then through that, my relationship with money started to shift. And then, of course, the more I learned about it and learned how I could use it as a tool, I'm like, man, this is just energy. This is a tool to be used. And if you don't know how to use it, you don't get as far in life, but you know how to use it, you can do so much.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I would have never known that about you. And I feel like I know you pretty well, but I wouldn't have ever thought that that was part of your past, feeling worthy. But I know so many women can relate to that. I mean, whether it's feeling worthy that they deserve success, feeling worthy that, success comes along with generally, having money, what to do with it. And you're so right. I mean, it gets so deep into our subconscious, right? And not only is it like repelling your success and the fact you switch that mindset up and you're like, I am worthy of this. And creating I'm sure you even created like mindset affirmations and things, but yeah, well, you definitely from now, like me knowing you now, you've done a really good job of that, because I do see your confidence. And I know that stems from you working on yourself and knowing that you are worthy. And I wouldn't have known that. So thank you for sharing that vulnerable moment.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's the beauty of so many things that I'm now comfortable saying and sharing and being who I really am. For years we've talked about authenticity and being genuine, but I have finally gotten to a point where that's real in my life. I've never been fake. All the women that we see where I'm like, oh my gosh, just be yourself, but there have been different levels of how open I am. And I realize that that is the connection between people, especially women, is being vulnerable enough to be honest, not only with ourselves, but with other people. And that's what really helps, because then other women are like, gosh, that's me too. That's how we help each other.
100%. Speaking of like helping each other. So I know there's women listening that are like, okay, I can relate with that, but I don't have the education. I don't have the knowledge. So what would be 2 or 3 steps that maybe you took, or the women that you help now in just your career, that they take, and to help women feel more control about their finances, feel more confident about money? Like what are a few steps that women can take to start that road?
So there's a lot, but so it's two-sided. One is, we've got a couple of options. Once we identify what we need per month and what goes out, in order to gain additional makeup for lost time, we can either spend less, and so we have more to say, or we can make more. And in my mind, I thought, let's just make more. So for women, whether you are maybe stay-at-home mom, which is the hardest job, and so you have one income coming in, I think for that situation, it's a matter of you and your spouse getting on the same page, and you'll find they have their money story, you have yours, and many times they're very different. So it can take time to not only be comfortable being honest with each other about it, but getting on the same page to say, okay, if these things are really important to us, whether it's you're renting and you want to buy a home, or maybe life is fine and you don't feel lack, but you just have big aspirations for you and your family and your kids and what you want to do, it's the same process. You look at what's coming in, what's going out, and from that, you learn whether money is controlling you or you're telling it where to go. And so that's the first, most simple but hard thing to do, because it means we have to be honest with what it's going to. And I always tell people, my job is not to tell you, don't go out to eat, don't do this, don't, spend this money on vacation with your family. It's to identify where it's going and determine, is that what I want it to do for me? Or can it be multiplied and do something else so that I get more joy, because now I get to go to Europe a year from now instead of spending money on these things that I don't care about, but money's going to them for some reason. So that's step one, is just clarity on what comes in, what goes out. I am all for, as we both are, entrepreneurship. And whether it is a side hustle, something that you can do to generate revenue, I think we all have gifts. So identifying what your gifts are and can they be monetized? Now my bar for determining, okay, if I want to make this income or whatever I want to accomplish, I just know I have to add more value. So I think for women, if we look at what am I good at and what areas do I add value to people's life in, could that be monetized? How do I use my gifts and talents? So I think for some people, it's just, you can make more money, or you can charge more, or you can start a side business that allows you to gain ground and start saving more. Another thing is, don't be afraid of what you don't know. Unlike 15, 20 years ago, you can learn almost anything you want to online. So of course, you can go to somebody that you trust. Obviously, I help people with planning all the time. But if you want to learn something, you can look anything up on YouTube and learn it. So I would pick one thing, maybe one thing per week. So instead of maybe watching Love is Blind every night, I watch it too sometimes. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. But think about how you can educate yourself by learning one thing a week. Maybe you're starting with money mindset, because that's the core of the issue and that's where you need to start. Maybe it's on investing 101. Maybe it's on just creating a budgeting app that automates things for you. So, I have this much left over, but choose one thing per week and spend, I don't know, it could literally be 15 minutes. But I think that learning automatically gives you confidence, because as you learn, your thermometer for how you feel about yourself, I think this is the case for all of us. We learn and we just immediately feel more confident. The byproduct will be you're looking at money different, because the more you learn, you're like, I'm now in control. I'm running the show now. I'm telling it where to go. That was a long-winded answer, but those are honestly the first couple of things I would do to increase confidence. Take it in baby steps, getting on the same page with your partner if you have one, and recognizing where it's going so that you can redirect if that's what you want to do. You may find that it is going exactly where you want it to. And now you just need to see what's left so that you can then save, invest that. I'm all about buying real estate, alternative assets, and the stock market. They're all good things.
That's super helpful because I think a lot of times, myself included, you don't know. And sometimes it's scary to peel back those layers, right? Because you're like, oh, you really have to be honest, not only with your spouse, but with the person in the mirror, right? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about small habits, the daily habits, the weekly habits. What are some things that you have seen yourself or maybe even helping clients that can help create like these small little things that listeners could do this week, next week, just to help create long-term financial empowerment?
Well, going along with a couple of things I mentioned in the beginning, I do think that your perspective on money invigorates you, can energize you, or can make you go negative. So I think that listening to things every week, it helps it be a little bit easier, meaning that whether it's Starbucks every day, whatever habits, the habit might not be bad, but if you find those dollars could do so much more for you somewhere else than just the latte, now it's not, I shouldn't get this coffee right now. Now it's, I'm freaking investing that and then I'm tripling it. There becomes this different lens that you see every action that you do. And that just starts to shift some of these habits. So I'm definitely not the person that's pushing new habits. They don't last. It's like that diet where, I'm going to cut everything out, no carbs, no sugar, and I'm doing this. I'm getting ready for summer. You'll do it, but it won't last. Same with money. I think that, a lot of people like the Monarch app. There's a YNOB. There's different budget. I hate to even use the word budgeting, but let's call them cash flow apps where you can see what's coming in and have your financial world connected in one place. Just having that gives you clarity. It's almost like you see every small action you're taking, whether it is, you know what, I'm going to skip the latte 2 times a week. And I know that in 6 months, I kind of have an idea of the cash that I'll have, and I'm going to use that for a trip to Disney. So now every time you walk by Starbucks, you think Disney. A lot of these little things are just mental shifts that motivate you and inspire you to adjust. I don't think it works to try to force these changes like, I should do this. I shouldn't be spending this. I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes we're just spending way too much money. But I think a lot of times it's if we knew what we could have instead of this small little thing in the moment, we wouldn't need any more motivation. Of course, there are easy ways of investing. There's several different apps where there aren't any fees. So whether you're investing in index funds or something that's very, very low cost that allows you to see the impact of dollars going in. Plus you own it. You own the stock. So it's exciting, I think, for any person, even your children. And they're like, I own 7 shares. Teaching your kids this too will help you on your journey as well. So if you have children, I think that's super helpful. So use an app, see everything in one place, choose something that you have always wanted to do. And now every time you see something that you spend money on, you think of the other thing, whether it's Disney, Europe, a new car, envisioning yourself writing a check for child's college. It doesn't matter what it is. Associate that to spending and see if it helps you adjust where you spend.
Oh my gosh, so fascinating. I'm a student. I am learning.
Me too. I will always be.
Yeah, no, but it's such a simple thing. I could probably have about 10 of those things where don't spend on Starbucks, don't order clothes, don't click and buy, and Amazon boxes show up every day at your house. I hope my husband doesn't listen to this podcast. No, just kidding.
For women.
Yeah, for women. But no, it's so true because I know when I have personally would have thought about that before you described it as just the switching of the latte. Now it's like, oh, I see Disney. I would have thought about like, man, I can't have that dang latte. I can't and I want, and that makes me want it more because I can't, right? But you just switch it up. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to earn this because I'm not spending money on that. That small little tweak in your mind is very powerful.
I remember you mentioning this. I can't remember what conversation we were having, but it was about health and dieting and food. And when we know we can't have something, we want it. We're like, damn, we're gonna get it. It makes us want it even more, even if ultimately we didn't really want the thing. It's like knowing we can't have it or we're not supposed to have it. So I think removing that mental block or layer that we're running it through to say like, yeah, I can have it and it's fine. Not having shame or guilt be associated with the decisions we make or feeling like, oh, I bought this, but I shouldn't have. You can buy it. You get to choose. I think that's the other thing for women is we don't have to do anything per se. There are all these rules and things impressed on us of this is the one way to do it. This is how women should be. they should only learn this much about money because most of it's over their heads. It is not. It is how information is shared that makes women feel that way, but it's not a reality. Society impacts what we do and think so much, and so much of it is not true.
Oh my gosh. So true. So true. Oh my God. I could ask you so many other questions because we're going to continue digging in on more. We're going to continue to pick Leah's brain. So if you guys have any specific questions that you want me to ask Leah on our next episode, message us. Send us a message on Instagram at Women of Fort Mill Podcast. We would love to hear. I think it would be great to get, questions from listeners to come in, and we'll put her on the spot and we'll ask her even the tough ones. I have like 3 or 4 I'm going in my head that I know we have to be mindful of time. So thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. You are such a, I love that your thought process around the empowerment and the confidence and women being involved in the finances and understanding. And it's not just a man's world and the men know what's going on and not the women. Since I have met you, I have caught that vision from you. And I think really digging in and us taking the opportunity to do it here on the podcast is going to really help a lot of people. So thank you.
I'm excited. It's my story because once again, this is a different Leah than a year ago, than 10 years ago. I think women just need to know it doesn't matter where you're at. Your life can radically change in this area and every other. Thank you for letting me share and the good, the bad, all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys, that wraps up today's episode of the Women of Fort Mill podcast. We hope that you enjoyed it and getting a chance to just hear Leah and hear her advice and just her stories. And thank you for showing up and being vulnerable and teaching us something, but also having such a relatable story that I know so many women can relate to. We will see you on the next episode of Women of Fort Mill podcast. Do not forget to follow us on Instagram and rate and review us, especially if you like this new style. We are always listening to you. Your vote matters. Your input matters. What you want to hear matters to us. So thank you for everyone who has contributed any sort of information. We are so grateful to hear your feedback, and we'll see you on the next episode of Women of Fort Mill podcast. Thanks, Leah.
See you guys. Thank you for tuning in to Women of Fort Mill, South Carolina. We love bringing you the stories of these incredible women, and we hope you're walking away with a little extra inspiration every week. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to rate and review us wherever you listen. It helps us reach more amazing women like you and grow our supportive community.
And for all the latest updates, tips, and behind-the-scenes fun, make sure to follow us over on Instagram, Women of Fort Mill Podcast, and tag us to share what inspires you each week. Plus, join our email list to stay connected, be the very first to know about the new episodes and fun events. Thanks for being a part of our Fort Mill family. We'll see you next week with another inspiring woman right here at Women of Fort Mill Podcast.